How do I, 38M, reconnect with my 38F wife? My wife and I have 3 kids under 5, the youngest being 9 months now. We both work full-time and live a busy life. I have given her the option to stay at home. We make enough money where we both don't have to work, but my income is significantly more, but I totally respect her career and that she does not want that lifestyle of staying at home with 3 kids. She's admitted that I do 70% of the work around the house as far as cooking, cleaning, taking care of kids, getting them ready for school, etc. I love doing this for my family and being the leader of the household, but I feel like I don't get enough appreciation and time with my WFIE. I fear for the long-term future of our household. It was like this after our 2nd child, and now it's much worse after our 3rd. I don't feel like she makes any effort to do anything for me, and I feel unloved. We haven't had sex in about 18 months, which I have been understanding given that we had a baby last May, but it's starting to get to the point where I'm getting depressed over it. I do many little things for her still to show that I love her, telling her how beautiful and sexy she is. Bringing lunch or breakfast to her work as a surprise planned date night when possible. Have a bath ready for her with candles and wine when she gets home. Plan dates with her girlfriends to get out of the house. Taking kids out of the house on weekends for a couple of hours so she can get quiet time alone. Back rubs, hugs, kisses. I just feel like there is no desire for my wife to connect with me or even want to spend time with me. When I bring some of these feelings up to her, I typically come away feeling worse or like I need to hold my feelings in more, or do more, and it's not good for my mental health. I just feel tired of always making the effort for everything and not getting anything in return. I feel really selfish for even posting this. TLDR, what do I do? How do I get my wife to want to connect with me again? Do we need counseling? Fellow 38M with 3 kids 5 and under here. If I didn't know better, I'd think I wrote this post myself about a year ago. My advice? Couples therapy. This is a communication issue as much as anything. You feel like you're doing a ton and entitled to time with your wife. Your wife feels overstimulated and stuck. You're trying to do things to get her in the mood, and she's feeling forced to either give into sex she doesn't want or resentful for it, turning into an argument, guilt, etc. I guarantee you at least part of that is the issue. She's just given birth 9 months ago. Her hormones are all out of whack. She's been a cow for half of the last 5 years. It's a lot for a woman to go through. My wife and I were absolutely in just keep swimming mode. The best advice I ever read on was to assume nothing will be normal for 24 months after the birth of your last kid. When they turn 2, things normalize a good bit. They can communicate. The random scream crying is mostly stopped. They start to obey logic and reason a bit more. You can get a sitter and not feel horrible. So my advice to you: get yourselves in therapy, but for the purpose of learning to communicate better, not have more sex. The sex will come back when your wife is ready to have sex again. There's nothing you can do other than be understanding. And the more understanding you are, the less pressure there is, the faster she'll come around. Read, months, not this weekend. One last bit. You're very focused on what you are needing from your relationship. That's understandable. What does she need from your relationship right now?
Did you guys agree together to have a 3rd child? It isn't okay for her to be essentially checked out on marriage, but if I'm trying to get inside her head, I am wondering if you guys wanted to have 3 kids this young all at once. IIF, she's really career focused and trying to get ahead there. And what does she say when you tell her you're run ragged? How were her pregnancies? She's been pregnant a good deal of the last 5 years. 3 young kids is a lot. Take some of the energy you're pouring into her and make sure to put it into yourself.
I typically come away feeling worse or like I need to hold my feelings in more, or do more, and it's not good for my mental health. I just feel tired of always making the effort for everything and not getting anything in return. Why do you come away feeling worse? What is your wife doing, saying during those conversations?
Counseling is needed, but it might not be for you. It could legitimately be postpartum depression. I would suggest you consider doing this. You mentioned you have a decent income together. Get a cleaner in. Give yourself back some time, and go and do something for yourself with that time. Hit the gym or see friends or play golf or go rock climbing or whatever it is that qualifies as me time for yourself. It will give you some time and space for yourself. I went through the above in my first marriage and was giving 110% all the time and getting back 20%. Went to counseling, which made me realize just how shitty and zero effort she was giving me back. I set very minimal expectations that she made zero effort to meet, and we separated and divorced and are both much happier people now. I hope yours doesn't go that way, but if it does, make sure you take care of yourself so you can be the best possible co-parent and functioning adult. Make sure you have a healthy support network now. If you let friendships lapse cause happy wife, happy life, bullshit, then time to rebuild them is now.
Has she been assessed for postpartum depression?
Have you ever really talked to her about how she's doing? Does she nurse the young baby? Being a mom is hard, particularly to a young baby. PPD is definitely a possibility. I would write her a letter and let her know the things you miss about your relationship.
So after reading many of comments, I'm thinking it's maybe not a great time to make things about me right now, considering she just stopped breastfeeding and her hormones are all out of whack. I need to maybe suck it up and be more patient with her and not be so sensitive.
You shouldn't have to hide your feelings or lower your expectations here. That'd be a horrible way to spend another 30 to 40 years of your life, and not what you should get from someone that's promised to love you. I'm making an assumption here that you have some money. Is there a possibility of getting some childcare and going somewhere just the two of you for a few days? The reason for it is to get away from work, home, childcare, and all the excuses not to talk through things. Spend a bit of time just the two of you connecting and resting, and then talk. It sounds like you may need counseling, but adding that to work stress, home, children, and an already packed schedule isn't going to land without a really good conversation or two about the why. Counseling, like therapy, also only works if you put time in between the sessions, and my suggestion again helps her get there. Maybe she needs to change jobs. Maybe she's so stressed and tired she can only look a day ahead. Ultimately, it sounds like your wife no longer feels like your partner. Work stress is a real and present thing, but it can't be allowed to take over everything. You're meant to be married and a priority, so you need to talk through both your met and unmet needs, how you see your future together, and how you can fix this. Sex sounds like a side effect and not the central thing here, but is also important. When you decide to forego all others, keeping it an active part of your relationship, despite fluctuations, etc., is something both people need to commit to. 18 months is a really long time. Maybe you'll come up with a clear plan to figure things out and fix things, or maybe she'll see that making time and space for counseling is something she needs to actively do.
I don't know what to add to this. I'm in the same boat as you. Same age range, but my kids are older. I've felt the exact feelings you are feeling. I just wish I would have brought them up years ago. I suggest having the hard discussion. It will not feel good at all, but trust me, delay it and things will blow up in your face.
Do you think she may have postpartum issue?
Life gets busy and we build routines to cope with them. The problem with routines is we become complacent and boring. I'm sure by now you have realized it takes two to make things happen. There is no trick to get her to want to make things better. You both have to want it. Assuming you both want it, you just need opportunities to make things better. Compliments and romantic gestures are nice, but I find those are more of enhancers to the mood rather than mood creators. For example, when you date a girl, bringing her flowers and doing romantic gestures are nice, but they are not what really gets her attention. When you go on that date and you talk to her and make her laugh, those laughs are what makes her interest in you grow. So try fun things. Sign up to dance classes as a couple. Think of things you can go do as a couple that will give you a reason to talk and smile. There is nothing selfish to what you want. It's called caring about your relationship. Sex matters, affection matters, the bond matters.
Well, your communication with one another is off. First off, your romantic gestures are not as romantic as you think they are in her mind because you are expecting sex for these gestures. This probably shuts her down right from the start. Sex should be spontaneous when the mood strikes, not after dinner, wine and candles, etc. These things are thoughtful, but when you are expecting something in return for it, it ruins the thought. That's more of you expecting her to get in the mood, and she is not on the same page as you here. Second, she has had 3 kids in a relatively close time frame, and she seems to be having more issues after each child. Maybe talk to her about getting a vasectomy. Maybe she is done having children and sex equals children to her right now, and she is avoiding it like the plague. You should probably get some therapy together to see how to keep that spark going after your kids. Some people forget about their relationship because everything is focused on the kids. You should try the affection and romance route without the expectation of sex for now, but you both definitely need to talk about this so you are both on the same page and working towards intimacy together and not be one person trying to drag the other one into it. Try some couples counseling that will give you the tools to do all of this.
It was like this after our second child, and now it's much worse after our third. Can I ask why you had a third? When I bring some of these feelings up to her, I typically come away feeling worse or like I need to hold my feelings in more. Can you go into more detail here? This is going to seem like some Oprah advice, but you and your wife should both read 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman. The author is the primary world expert on relationship science, as in he is an actual scientist working at an actual research institute doing actual experiments. This isn't some wishy-washy self-help book. It is a distillation of years of research. It will help you both a lot. One of the primary suggestions in the book is to have a date night every week. Date night should be sacred. You schedule everything else in your life around it, not the other way around. I think that's a good first step for you too.
This generation has been sold the "you can have it all" lie. It's true that one person can do anything, just not everything, especially at the same time. Happiness is balancing life. Once you have to juggle, it's only a matter of time before everything crashes. She can't give you what she hasn't got to give. Time to connect with you as anything other than support in raising a family. You're essentially staff, and so is she: career, spouse, parent of 3, lover, housekeeper, cook. Pick your priorities and sort out the rest. I can only suggest that when you place your marriage first, the remaining responsibilities will be easier to figure out. Whatever you decide, it doesn't have to be a forever scenario. Life is all about adaptation.
Sounds like you and your wife aren't good at communicating with each other. Attending couples therapy together is the best solution. The therapist can use their expert knowledge, skills, and experience to teach each of you how to express yourself in ways the other understands, and listen to one another, and can ask questions to probe blind spots for each of you.
This sounds like something that warrants seeing a marriage counselor, but in the meantime I strongly suggest looking up and going through the New York Times 36 Questions app with your wife. They're awesome.
Do you have Audible? Maybe get the free trial. If not, there's a newish series called How to Not Fuck Up Your Marriage Too Bad. Maybe you should listen to it together on a drive. It's not quite therapy, but might help some perspective, especially the episodes on sex and fighting. If you want to be prepared, listen to it by yourself first. For what it's worth, I fixed a near-dead bedroom. Step 1-ish, focus on you. Stop so much with the luxury baths for her. Make one for yourself. Invite her in. If she says yes, great. If she says no, well, at least you get to enjoy your efforts. It goes like that for everything right now. Keep the house clean, not to please her, but because you're an adult. What's going to happen? You're going to have even less sex?
If you guys are comfortable financially, I'd suggest house cleaner service to make it easier on you too. As well as one of those meal kits type thing, so cooking shouldn't be too much task since you both work. You mentioned that her work has been really stressful. I think that's the reason why she's not in the mood to reconnect. She's still fried. I know this well, since when I'm busy at work, this is what happens a great deal to me too. I'm like on an automatic mode right now. I do all the necessary thing and even pretend to really enjoy myself cuddling, etc., but I'm tired mentally. Work is on my mind a great deal. It's stressful. Maybe you can offer for her to do a part-time instead? Or find a job that is less stressful. Or counseling?
Start looking for therapists. Your wife may have PPD.
Maybe don't whine when she gets home? But in all seriousness, couples therapy seems like a good place to start.
Why did you have a third, if things were already not good after 2?
And whine when she gets home. Well, there's your problem.
Whatever you do, please don't fall for the trap of thinking you owe her more. I promise it will not fix this. Empathy is great, and I am by no means advocating hard love or anything crazy. However, she chose this life and she is responsible for communicating with you and seeking help if she needs it. At this point, you may need to start making it very clear how unhappy you are overall. Do not focus on just the sex. Focus on getting help around the house. Focus on her making you feel loved. Flat out, tell her you don't feel loved and you feel as if she doesn't care to figure out how to fix that. Warn her that you are doing a lot to help her, but this can't last forever. Most of all, try to focus on you. Do not attack her. Do not specifically mention her failures or exact specifics, just speak about yourself and how you feel. Speak about how this is not sustainable long-term. Offer to help her with anything she needs, even if it's any medical help, mental help, or just a change in anything you can help with. However, the way things are will lead to ruin. She sounds like she may need a therapist or evaluated for postpartum depression. It is her job to admit that and seek help, though if she won't, it is not your fault. It is not on you to forever carry all the extra weight as a man. That will only slowly ruin your family. Trust me, the toxic you are the man, just do more and more mentality will not help this.
Wonder if she's experiencing postpartum depression. Skeptical smiley face. You sound like you're doing great, man, good on ya. Sometimes people need time to adjust. I can only imagine what it does to a person emotionally to give birth. A lot of people struggle with it.
You can only do so much. She has to be a willing participant in your marriage. You do need to put effort in it too, but I think you should focus on yourself rather than bending over backwards for her, since she doesn't appreciate it. This is not to be spiteful or teach lessons. This is just about making sure you are taking care of yourself so you can take care of your children.
I personally think she's having some issues with her mental health. I'm diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I used to isolate myself from my family, and I just did not have the energy to care about anyone else. Maybe therapy will help. I must also mention that when I used to isolate myself, my mom kept trying to bring me out of my shell, but I didn't like her fretting over me and being pushy with her affection.
I would cringe if my husband planned a night out with my girlfriends for me. I don't want him to be my dad or my maid or my personal assistant. You can't do X and expect Y from another person. So stop focusing on trying to get something from her and start focusing on yourself. Do the things you need for yourself. If you feel unappreciated because you're doing more housework, hire help. If you feel like you want someone to invest time with you, invest time in yourself. Exercise. Take up a cool hobby. Whatever. You only control yourself, so do that.
So what I'm reading here is that the man's needs don't need to be met and he should suck it up for years. Got it.
Why am I not surprised that the replies here are the complete opposite of when a woman complains about her husband not doing enough domestic work? This sub is a farce.
What is she actually contributing to the relationship at this point?
The way you describe your relationship is really transactional and rubs me the wrong way. If that's the energy you are bringing to your relationship, then it's no wonder your relationship is struggling.
The last time you had sex was when she got pregnant?
You're trying a fair bit and she still appears to be indifferent, and you can feel the distance between you. She isn't communicating why she is holding back, so it's worth going to couples counseling. Even if you end up going on your own a few times separate to combined attendance, you might come to realize you can't stand being in a hollow relationship because your wife has made zero effort to reciprocate.
Too many comments here are more concerned with her needs than yours, even though you made it clear you were upset. Comment on I've noticed, and seem to be doing the heavy lifting for the family and everything you can to make life easier for her with no reciprocation back, so let's focus on you a bit. You say you are doing 70%, vast majority, of the housework and doing a bunch of extra things for your wife to try and re-establish a connection. Is she doing anything on her end to try and connect with you? Does she ever do random nice things, tell you she loves you out of the blue, come up and give you a hug for no reason other than she wanted to show you she loves you, things like that? Despite whatever she may be going through, she cannot just check out of the marriage like that and ignore you. I'm not even talking about sex here, I'm talking about simply acknowledging that you aren't some machine and are a human being with emotional needs as well. You even offered to let her stay home, but she made it clear she doesn't want to despite all the stress she may feel at work. She clearly finds it far less stressful than dealing with her 3 small kids at home. She very likely even considers work an escape of sorts from the primary stress, lesser of two evils. And the thought of changing that and staying home scares her. She may indeed need therapy, but is she open to the suggestion or does she outright refuse? If she is open, then you have a way forward to hopefully help the issues bothering you and her. If she is closed to therapy, then you have a serious problem, as you cannot force somebody to get help if they refuse to seek it.
Honestly, my guy, she probably doesn't respect you. You cater too much to her. Stop doing so much for her and focus on yourself.
Time to be completely honest with her. You do the talking. Ask her to just listen and not say a word, just listen. Make all your points of why you're not happy in the marriage. Let her know all of the above needs improvement. Not just for the short term, but the long term. Let her know you feel her effort is lacking. You feel she takes you for granted. You feel unappreciated. You feel like boring roommates instead of the romantic couple. Her continued excuses are wearing thin. If she wishes for you to continue putting your effort into her, she must do the same now. Not a quick fix and he'll be fine scenario, but a lasting commitment. Tell her you don't want her answers now, but to reflect and contemplate what you've said for a few days after. You can both discuss her response.
I'll probably get downvoted in oblivion for this, but you also gotta look after yourself. By all means keep looking after your kids home like you are, but if she's feeling overwhelmed or suffocated by your efforts towards her, stop trying. Take that effort, put it back into keeping yourself energized. Go to the gym. Indulge your hobbies more. Take your kids with you when you do. As you're not around so much engaging her, you'll be surprised how quickly she'll try re-engage the relationship. The sad truth for a lot of women is that in order for them to see how they're affecting the men in their life is to disengage. Focus on yourself. That doesn't mean you ignore her or stop caring. Just stop trying so hard. She'll pretty quickly wonder why you're not putting in the effort you once did. Her subconscious will go to the worst case scenario even if nothing you're doing suggests otherwise. That's usually the kick in pants they need to get out of their heads. Realize they're taking you for granted. Admittedly, given her current mental state, it might take her longer than it normally would to realize you're not as attentive as you were, but it will happen. Again, don't stop entirely, just pull way back. Focus on yourself, your kids more. That being said, couples therapy isn't an awful idea either. Will help you both communicate better.